Good morning, everyone. I seem to be having some connection issues. We shall see if this works today. We'll see. So apparently today is our 100th broadcast, our 100th show. I can't believe that we've been doing this for 100 plus whatever, however many weekend days we've been doing it. I'm going to give you guys a minute to come in. Yeah, it was weird. When I tried to come on at first, it said I did not have a strong enough signal. And then I closed out and came back in and it was fine. So we'll see. We'll see how it works. I do not have any card pulls for today. So if you guys want one, you just have to ask. Let's see. I'll start with announcements. This weekend, day after tomorrow, Saturday, the 25th, in Kent, Washington, is the Emerald Spiral Fair. I've already talked about that a bit. It's a big fair. It's got lots of people attending. I guess I had some cards for it, but I don't have them right here. Then we have a panel discussion called Spring Cleaning for Your Soul. That's going to be at New Renaissance Event Center. That's on the Friday night, March 31st, from 6:30 to 8:30. You can come in and you can ask questions. We have a discussion. There are 4 different psychic intuitive readers that are there, so we all come from our own disciplines, and we have a lot of commonality, but a lot of difference also, so it's pretty fun. And then the Who's the Fool Psychic Intuitive Gallery, apparently they had to change the name of it because some people weren't comfortable being related to a psychic gallery because they're not out in their lives yet. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but it is what it is. That one's going to be on April 1st from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and at Vibrant Studios in the Goose Hollow area. It's actually on 15th and Jefferson. So apparently, I haven't seen the space yet, but it's really beautiful. There's something I kind of wanted to talk about, and since I don't have card pulls and it's just kind of whatever I feel like talking about today, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I want to talk about the concept of having sex with people that you are treating, that you're serving in any way, as a reader, as an intuitive, as a guide. You know, there's a reason that it is so highly illegal for psychologists and psychiatrists and people who are in the profession of helping, right? Doctors, lawyers, to have sex with their clients. Okay, there's a reason it's illegal. There's a reason it's against the integrity of of those professions. It's because when you're in that role, when you're in this role of advisor, of guide, as facilitator, as supporter, as in any of those roles, you are actually in a very powerful position with that person. You have that person's trust. You have that person's commitment to you. You have they're open and they're intimate with you. If you're providing a space for somebody to heal within, if you're providing a space, good morning, Michelle, so good to see you. If you're providing a space for somebody to come into and to receive healing, to receive care, receive treatment, receive guidance, receive understanding, your sexual desires are yours, and they do not belong in that treatment space. And a big part of how that gets super confusing is that some people, while they're going and seeking, while they're getting, seeking out advice, while they're seeking compassion and consideration and love and respect and understanding, they're vulnerable. And a lot of us get programmed, especially when you think about it, when women, let's say women I think are the most vulnerable for this, but men are vulnerable too. Women are, 1 in 3 women are sexually abused, molested, raped, violated in some way in their lifetimes. 1 in 3. Okay, that's a lot of women. Now, if they're coming for support, good morning, Andrea, they are used to, they've already been programmed that they're supposed to give this whatever's asked of them. So many women are programmed that way. And and also in our culture where sex is so rampant everywhere, it's even in our children's movies and children's programmings. We are a hypersexualized nation. And I'm only going to talk about America. I don't know about other countries. I don't live in them. So when we have that kind of a culture and climate, then a lot of people are programmed to equate love as sex, right? So you're in a place where you're in a position where these people just need love, and they don't know how to ask for love. They don't know how to receive love. They don't know how to get love. All they know is that sex equals love. And so you coming in as a practitioner or one who is confusing that in any way with sex, that alone is a position of power, and you are taking advantage of your clients. If you are seeking the advice or guidance or support of a healer or a worker or a psychic, that's kind of what the theme of this week is how do you pick a good person to work with? If they in any way are bringing up sex, if they're bringing it up, if they're asking for it, if they're complimenting you in such a way that makes you feel sexualized in any way, they are inappropriately expressing their boundaries. They have inserted themselves into your session and not in a healing way. Sexual energy transfer. Yeah, I've been studying the Law of One transcripts on that topic. Exactly. I'm so glad that you brought that up, Michelle. That sexual energy is powerful, it's potent, and it doesn't belong in healing places. I had a cuddle therapist once that did some powerful work and helped support me, but she fell in love with me, and I'm there vulnerable, completely into my sexual trauma, which means my programming around sexualization is all what's coming up. And she's trying to hit on me, and it is the most vulnerable position somebody gets into when they open themselves up about their damage, about their history, about what's going on with them. And a lot of people try to hide it with humor, right? So they'll say something that's inappropriate, and then they're like, "Oh, I was just kidding. It's not my fault you got offended by that." I had this person way back when I used to buy weed, and it was still illegal, and he had the greatest weed, and so I would go and I'd buy weed from him, and every time I'd see him, he would talk about my breasts. He would bring them up, he would talk about them, he would talk about how much he loved breasts, and he'd go on and on about that. And one day I just was like, nothing's ever going to happen, right? You get that. You get that nothing is ever going to happen between the two of us. I'm married. I'm not looking for that. I'm not interested in that. I just want to be really clear that nothing will ever happen. And he got all weird, right? He was like, "Well, I don't know why you would say that. I'm in a relationship. I'm not trying to make anything happen." I'm like, "Then why are you talking about my breasts? They're not here to please you. They're not here to be a subject of discussion. Can we talk about your testicles?" Right? Like, what is going on there? And then he tried to make it sound like I didn't understand. I didn't get the joke. I'm not getting the joke. No, it's not a joke. I'm sorry. It's not a joke. Do we talk about penis size? No, men would be really upset if we started joking about their penis size. We aren't even allowed to joke about that, right? So we as women have to be strong. And I know that's lame, because when you go into a session, when you go into working with somebody, when you open up and create that vulnerability, the last thing you want to have to do is be strong or protect yourself. But that's the balance. You're vulnerable, you also must be strong. If you're opening up and you're healing this part of yourself and somebody is coming at you with sexual energy, that's something you need to heal. Learning to value your sex, learning to value your vessel, learning to value that intense energy. One of the things I tell women who I work with is you must remember your vagina is a portal to God, okay? It is. So too is a penis. So too is that our genitalia is that access point to the root of our creation. And so people who get in there, especially if you are in any way awakened in the light worker, you're holding so much power in that space, so much power. And people get into that space and they don't know what to do with it. All they know is, I felt so good there, I want to get back. And so they're not going to respect you. They're not going to value you. They want what you have. And they will treat you in such a way as to get that. Now, there is a huge difference between somebody falling in love with your soul, falling in love with everything there is about you, and somebody coming to you because they want to feel better. Okay? Now, if you're in treatment and somebody is your provider and they want into your sacred root space, that's not a provider. You're now the provider and they're the one in treatment. And what it is for you, what the lesson there for you is, oh, I need to value what I have. I don't hold it with value right now, and that's why people feel they can have access to it. Now, some people don't have this experience. Some people do not in any way have this. But in the last few weeks, I have actually worked with 3 different women who ended up in long-term relationships or committed in relationships that were extremely dysfunctional, extremely unhealthy, with men who were their psychics, men who were their providers. And those men are dysfunctional, and they represent themselves in the community. I wish I could just out them, but that would be violating confidentiality. So they're out there, okay? They're out there. They prey on people who are weak and vulnerable. Just because somebody is psychic, just because they're empathic, just because they're intuitive, just because they can read you does not mean that they're in service to others. It does not mean that they are committed to the law of one. It does not mean that they view you as a unity, as a piece of themselves, and treat you with the same love, care, and respect they would expect for themselves. It doesn't mean that. You have to look at a person's full expression. You have to look at the way they live their lives. How do they treat other people? How do they socialize? How do they live in their life? How do they express themselves with you? How do they look at you? And this is why I teach you guys the compass, okay? This is why I teach you how to feel truth in your body so that you can see beyond your own filters. A lot of women are programmed to dismiss this sexuality and to just think it's okay, to think that it's not a big deal, because our whole social structure is so hypersexualized. I know I'm kind of on a little bit of a rant today, but I feel like it needs to be done. Yeah, you know, it's interesting, Sue. Facebook is, I think because we've done so many shows now, it's not putting me up in the feed as much. Maybe they want me to pay. Exactly. You leave and you feel drained and used, Andrea. That's exactly right. You know, one of the things that I remember with my husband, I chose him. I used to allow whoever came to me and was interested in me to, that would be who I'd be with, right? Oh, well, they like me. They're interested in me, but I didn't really value me. And I had a lot of programming. I had abandonment issues, and I had hypersexualization, and I had inappropriate boundaries with my stepfather, right? So I was programmed to feel like my job was to make others feel good, or to make others feel accepted, or to value what is disgusting in them, what is using in them. And it took a long time to rewrite that programming. I spent over a decade in therapy working on that. I've spent the last five years now working energetically on that. It is a huge process, and people tried to take advantage of that with me. And they tried to make it be about it's a joke when I called them on it. They tried to diminish or dismiss me. How dare you call me on it? We have to transfer our discomfort to them. And we as women are used to owning discomfort. Have a good, safe flight back, Justine. We'll be welcoming you back to Portland. So we need to transfer our discomfort back to them. We don't have to own it. We don't have to hold it. It's not our job to hold discomfort like that. We need to be confident enough to say, I don't want to hear about your penis. I really don't care how lonely it is. I don't want to hear about what your desires are, actually. I desire to be safe right now. I desire to not have to hear this right now. I desire to not have to be a part of your whatever dysfunction that is. And we actually have to be responsible for that. That's part of us learning how to value ourselves, how to have a part of our service be service to self. There needs to be a balance in that. In order to transfer into the next density of expression with service to others as your orientation, it doesn't have to be 100% service to others. It's like 52% service to others. You get to be one of those others, and you get to serve yourself. And if something is making you uncomfortable, if it's even slightly doing a ping of a flag, of a vulnerability, of a discomfort, it's time to speak up. And the more we make them uncomfortable and them own their desires, them own their needs, the less likely they're going to take advantage of somebody who's maybe a little more vulnerable than you are. So my call out to all of us is to stop allowing that to happen. It's time that we call a ceasefire with your firing wand. Okay, rant over. I had to get that out. The other thing I wanted to talk about is a lot of people have been contacting me. And again, you guys, nobody's asked for card pulls, so I'm just going to move into the discussion. A lot of people are talking about what's going on energetically right now and feeling like they're being cracked open, the sensation of cracking open. We worked on the cracking open with our cocoons yesterday. So today I was thinking that we could talk a little bit about how to harmonize this new energy and frequency that's coming in. Harmony is really everything. I like to think of myself as, sure, Maria, I like to think of myself as a great big orchestra. I'm an orchestra and I have many instruments, not just one instrument, because truly I operate on many levels. I have many different social circles. I have many different people I interact with. And I've got my family role, I've got my wife role, I've got my lover role, right? I think that's a very good thing, Andrea. I think that abstaining from sex until you're clear on your energy is a very valuable thing. Even in my marriage, I abstain from time to time. All right, there we go. We'll do those as our card pulls and then move into the meditation, which is going to be about harmonizing. So I would totally recommend that. I think that's great that you're doing that. Abstaining from sex, it's not about denial of pleasure, but it's about coming into wholeness with self and recognizing another person cannot make us feel whole, okay? They can't make us feel whole. All they can do is fill a void for a time, and then they go away. And they take with them a lot of what we need, what we value of ourselves. And, that's one of the reasons that in all these cultures, they held virgins as sacred, because they wanted to be the first one to tap into that vital energy, right? This goes for men too, by the way. A lot of men, I have a friend actually, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to out him, but he never watches the show and he's really public about talking about it. He has been abstaining for sex for the last several years, and he's been abstaining from masturbation as well. I think he went a year without ejaculating at all in order to desensitize himself, release himself from an addiction to pornography that he'd had since childhood, and to release himself from the idea, the concept that that's where he gets his power, that that's where he gets his energy. And, you know, and the few times over the last 2 or 3 years that we've known each other where he has even slipped at all on that, it's something that he notices. So when we become aware of and present with our sex, with our root, we notice these things. We become much more aware of what's going on. Having that awareness empowers you to make different choices about who you allow in and what you allow to happen there. Okay, so Maria, you asked for a card pull first. Let's see which deck wants to talk to you. Ganesh does. Another woman who I absolutely love and adore, who sometimes is watching this, but now she's working a lot. So yes, Andrea, I wrote you down. She purchased the Ganesh deck, and she has absolutely loved it. It's been invaluable for her. So it wants just a quick clearing. Remember, the cards will always tell you what they want you to do. They'll always, always tell you. They want you to shuffle them or clear them or cut them. Okay. Maria, I love these Ganesh cards, by the way. You got childlike expression. So Ganesh was created when he was a child. And, you know, he was made as a little baby out of the soap suds from his mother's bath and from her love. In here, I'm just going to read this little, what it says in here. In truth, within every soul exists an aspect known as the inner child. You can champion your inner child's emotional life by listening carefully to what you need and want in your own heart. You may have been taught to give up your own desires for the sake of others. This is not necessary. Ganesh is bringing the guidance that not acknowledging your desires and needs takes away from your life force and defeats your spirit. So much of what we were just talking about. As a child, you were a sensory expert. It is now time to re-stimulate your inner child's ability to look, listen, touch, and explore the world in order to reconnect with your emotions. Practice trusting your inner knowing and senses. Give your inner child love and a voice. Express your true feelings. Connect deeply to yourself on an emotional level by allowing all of your uncomfortable feelings to reach the surface of your awareness and be seen and experienced. Find patience and joy in the simple things. Take steps away from acquiring material things and take pleasure in the wisdom of your own soul. Love, respect, and honor your inner child. And remember, so many of us have our inner children damaged. And that's where we start trying to heal and recover from. So that's perfect. Okay, so Andrea, you asked for a card pull. The Shadowscapes, that's why I was shuffling them. So you got the Page of Cups. She's all about sentimentality, right? She's not, now there's another card in the Cups deck, I believe it's the Five of Cups, where she's lost in a pool of her own reflection. She's lost in this introspection. She's discarding things. There's another one where she's holding all these bowls and lost in one of them and not paying any attention to the other things because she's standing on a rock surrounded by water and all the other bowls are getting washed away. This card actually represents taking time out and making this sentimental remembrance and experience of sacredness. Right? She has nothing else she needs to do. There's nothing being left uncared for. She has taken the time to come into this space and to really look at and evaluate and remember and love and feel and connect to this, whatever it is that she's remembering and missing and releasing and moving away from. So that's what we have to remember to give ourselves permission to do, is to hold these spaces and in a sacred way, okay? Not to feel like not to do it in a haphazard way where we're not noticing the rest of what we have to be accomplishing. So it's asking you to take some sacred time. So perhaps if it's possible, I know you have 2 kids and you're right now working as a single mother, but if you can find time in your day to go and separate yourself from that whole chaotic environment, go to a park, go to somewhere that doesn't have any responsibility while your kids are at school, and to create the sacred space to do that reflective work. Because somebody coming in and interrupting is not going to help you with that. And then you'll actually be able to move forward from it, because she can come out of that when she's done, because she's actually been able to do that work. All right, Michelle. Oh, the Thoth Tarot want to talk to you. I'm always surprised when they want to come out. Isn't that so funny? I mean, I shouldn't be. They're very talkative. I just feel it. I'm like, oh, that's who wants to talk. I did order a new deck, by the way, you guys. I'm not sure when it'll get here. All right, you got the 4 of Swords. So this is truce is the energy here. The 4 of Swords and truce. So are you in conflict with something? Is it time to put the swords down, to allow yourself to see the other sides for a little bit, maybe understand what else it might be contributing, see the energy behind the conflict, and see the point at which they all come together? That's what's coming to me for this one. Let me feel it for a little bit more. Yeah, time to call a truce. This is not an external truce, by the way. This isn't with other people or other things. Very interesting. This is with the aspects of the self. Yes. So time to bring all the little girls who are ready to participate in that conversation and that ceremony, and bring them into a truce point so you can see the full sphere of what they're about to release. I am so proud of you. That's awesome. I am so happy for you. I am rebuilding my relationship with my bio dad, and having him own what he never owned before, the impact on me of him not being there, of him not taking care, not making his responsibility towards me as sacred as it should have been, him owning all of those aspects, as well as recognizing who I am, because they don't see us as who we are. They see us as the guilt and the shame of what they did not accomplish. So releasing that from our interactions with them and from our interactions with ourselves is so powerful. Now when I go down to my dad's, I'm so grateful my son's old enough that I can just kind of release, and I'm like, okay, we're visiting. You do your part, you get to know Grandpa as you are, and I'm going to do my part and recover from my relationship and my history with my mother and my father, right? My stepmother and my father. Unfortunately, my mom and I, we someday will come back together and figure that out, but it is not today. So today what we're going to do is we're going to work on balancing and harmonizing. Michelle, I want you to take a moment and focus in on this crystal. Just to tune in and pull this vibrational frequency so you can bring some of that ache from the gut. Good, Andrea. I'm glad. This is an iron quartz jersey. So when we have all those multiple points of a jersey, it makes it so that we can work on the multifaceted aspects of something, especially when it's, an absentee father of some sort. That's something that is like over and over on a daily basis. All the stories we tell, all the ways we hold, all the beliefs we build about ourselves, about our value, all of those multiplicity of that full wound space. So this can really help pull that out from the deepest parts of ourselves and get us clear. I love this stone. It's really a wonderful one for doing this work. Oftentimes I'll put this right over the solar plex when people are working, if I'm in person with them. So pull this energy into that solar plex. And if you in any way have problems with self-worth or any issues of feeling damaged, unvaluable, this is a powerful one to use for that. Yeah, I knew there was a reason that that was sitting right there. So we're going to do some meditation. And I was thinking, what? I have no idea where this stone came from. Okay, well, a stone showed up in my bag. Does anybody recognize this stone that I've visited lately? I don't know where this came from. It kind of looks a little bit like my kyanite. I'm just going to check and see if I still have my kyanite in here, if it didn't like turn into something else. Here's my crow feather. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. The geode? This one? Is this the one you're talking about, Andrea? It is a geode. It's just quartz in an iron-rich deposit, and it has not been washed. I prefer to have my stones unwashed. It hasn't been cleaned. So it's just a quartz, pure quartz with iron in it still. That's all that it is. And usually, see, this is one of the reasons that I buy my stuff whenever possible from the miners directly, because I know how they've handled it. And like this one I bought for $2. Price isn't everything, especially when you're buying it from the miner themselves. They're kind of like, how hard was it for me to get it out? How long did it take me to cut it, right? And he's like, $2. Sure. So yeah, wow. I'm just gonna, I want to see if my kyanite is still in here. Yeah. See, it kind of looks like my kyanite. Interesting. Maybe we're supposed to use those today. Yes, we are. Of course we are. Well, let's go ahead and get going then. I want you to take a few moments, get comfortable. I'm not feeling guided to use essential oils today. Take a sip of whatever you need. Oh, good. Awesome. Andrea, I would love to see pictures of what you get. I love that. We're going to work on harmonization of this new orientation of energy that we've gotten in. Sound good? Okay. I want you to go ahead and take a few deep breaths as you come into this present moment. And relax, release. Breathing in, present moment. And release. Breathing in this present moment, present awareness. We're just going to go ahead and unhook ourselves from all those things that pull us and keep us stretched out and off center and off balance. We're just going to unhook from anything that makes us feel like we have to ride these waves. Go ahead and take another deep breath in, present moment, drawing back in ourselves into wholeness, into this whole state. And exhaling, releasing those hooks even more. Go ahead and take this time right now to feel your roots growing down. And I'm going to use a suggestion that came in from one of our listeners and friends. As your roots grow down into Gaia, take a moment to spread those roots into the spaces between all the dirt, the rock, the crystal, the bedrock, the microbes and the bacteria, the funguses, all those things that make up our earth. Feeling those consciousnesses as you go down, feeling the burrowed animals, the tunneling animals, feeling these other beings that support the consciousness makeup of Gaia. All those insects that maintain and clean her soil and break down the debris and make new rich soil. All the birds that bring in that nutrients from other places so that things can begin to build the foundation. All these animals that create the full harmonized ecosystem that creates Mother Earth. They are the gardeners. Even the elephants and the bigger animals, giant dung piles, all of them do their part creating this space, this planet's nutrient-rich environment, making it so we can grow, survive. Purifying the water as it flows past, cleansing the air as it's breathed in and exhaled, all in perfect balance. Feel all of that consciousness ground into it and begin to see yourself as part of that balance as you do so. And send those roots down, all the way down into the heart of Gaia, into that center space, as though you're bringing all of those consciousnesses with you, coming into that center space as one planetary consciousness. And now, just like a child at our mother's apron strings, we're going to ask Gaia to please come and support us with our work, to please come and help us, guide us, show us where she needs support, where she needs allowance, how we can help her, and how she can help us. Let's just allow her to come in through our vessel as we bring that energy up. Let's bring that awareness as well, recognizing we are a conduit for her. Bringing that energy up through the body. Feel how it's expanding differently in the vessel than when we do it with intention and focus. We're doing it with allowance today. Feel how the crown is opening very differently than when we allow the pressure to build. Feel the unfolding differently today. Let's take that source energy that's shining down already, waiting for us, having followed its connection all the way down through to us, allowing it to shine down within our vessel, asking Source how we best can serve the creation today. How can we best embody all we came here to be? Allowing that awareness to come down and through. Now I want you to see how as that light comes down and through and into you, that it breaks up into these prismatic colors, each color of the rainbow. Right? We've got our indigo, our violet, our blue, our green, our yellow, orange, our red, and all the way down to the black color. The full spectrum. And just like an orchestra, when it begins to play, it first tunes itself to each other. We're going to tune these colors into perfect harmony with our vessel. As we strike a chord. And let's just take some time in this space to feel it. Take note of areas of the body that are dense, that are not vibrating with this frequency. And while you guys are doing that, I'm going to go get something. This is my crystal bowl. It came out yesterday. It's an aqua aura quartz bowl. It's a Laughing Budda Bowl. And we're going to allow her to tune us, help us come into this resonance. I hope that she helps support you in coming into your own resonance, your own frequency, harmonizing. She's tuned to the root chakra, to the root C. I don't know if you can notice, but she actually has this highly reflective sheen to her, where she encompasses all the different colors. So though she's tuned to the root, her color is a pale blue, much like the crown, and she harmonizes the whole way down. I haven't used her much lately, and I plan on using her a lot more. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you guys make today your day and do whatever you can to step into that role that you're called here to do. And I love you, and I'm so grateful for you. And I'm grateful that we've been doing this together for 100 shows. Blown away by that. I love you all. Remember, if you're in the Seattle area, come see me at the Emerald Spiral Fair. Bye, guys. I'm glad you liked it, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you, Andrea. Bye, guys.